What's up, guys? My intro keeps getting cut off. I'm getting better at recording these. In this video, we are going to be looking at how to make a quick portrait poster using Adobe Photoshop, mainly exploring what's called a figure-ground relationship. I had some students, I think Dominic was the student that asked me, he showed me this image and asked how to make it. And what's coolest about images like this is that it's not just like a photo with a background change, but there's a relationship between the figure and the ground. The figure meaning the subject, in this case the athlete, and the ground, which in this case is the background. The relationship, or the figure-ground relationship in this case, is these different kinds of like smoke effects or kind of like powder throws that have been colored the same colors as his jersey and kind of create a relationship between him, the subject, and the background. So I went ahead and made my own version in Photoshop really quickly. So if we look at how the layers are built out in Photoshop, I started with just the background. I grabbed just a simple paper texture online. I recolored that paper texture using a simple gradient map just to kind of like mute it out, but we still have some darks and some lights. I grabbed an image of Kanye, making sure that all these images that I'm working with are high quality, high resolution. I'm working at 11 by 17 inches at 300 ppi. And then I have these other two layers here in which I use some different brush strokes to create these kind of like watercolor splatter marks. But the way I did it is I have one layer behind him and one layer on top. So it creates a little bit of depth. I also was able to, if I hide Kanye, quickly add in some text of the same color of the background, and then with this layer on top, it kind of, again, creates this relationship between the figure and the ground. So let's go ahead and quickly make our own. I'm going to file new. I said I was using tabloid size, which is just 11 by 17 at 300 ppi, so it's going to be really good to print, but it means that my photos need to be high resolution. To find high-res photos, doing a large Google image search is fine if you want to use images that are not yours and you can't claim it. A website that I've had an account on for years is now called freeimages.com. It is free. You just need to make an account, and you can search for dozens and dozens of different kinds of stock photos. For me, I use a lot of the textures from it, so I just like looked up paper or papers, and I went through and looked through a lot of the free ones. And for this one, I grabbed this guy because it was something subtle, but had enough movement to it. And as long as you have an account, it's a free, high-quality download. So I've got those in here. Let's go ahead and bring them into my Photoshop document. I brought Kanye in real quickly, scaled him up a little bit, and then I'm going to use a layer mask really quickly to clear out the background. I'm going to use the quick selection, select the background, invert that selection, select inverse. I think the hotkey is like Command-Shift-I or something like that. There it is. And then quickly make a layer mask. So now Kanye has no background. Command-T is for transform, just to kind of scale him up and put him in position somewhere. Enter to confirm that, and let's go ahead and bring in my background. So for recoloring the background, I'm going to hold Shift as I scale it. For recoloring the background, what I did is I added a simple gradient map. So if you go to your adjustment layers right here, gradient maps is last one, and it already came in the colors that I had chosen. But what I did before is you want a dark and a light color. The dark on the left, light on the right. For the dark color, I just use the color of his shirt just to keep it in a consistent color scheme. And the light color, since it's kind of like a darker blue, let's give it a little bit of contrast and create some kind of like light orangish. And boom. We have a moving background with a little bit more texture. So for the brush strokes, because that's the next step, that's the cool step, you can create your own Photoshop brushes by basically like taking some paint on a paper and photographing it in a long way around. But there's a lot of really cool websites like Brusheezy. Brusheezy is a website that hosts both free and paid for Photoshop brushes that you can download. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to quickly Google, I don't know, spray paint or something like that, and maybe I can get some cool spray paint effects. There's some premium ones that cost money, but if you find some cool ones that might do the job well, like these 15 Photoshop brushes here, it's typically a free download. Depending on the website, you might need to like give credit if you're posting this image or if you're making money off the image. But what it's going to give you is an ABR file. There used to be more complicated ways of installing brushes in Photoshop. But for now, I'd recommend putting this ABR file somewhere that you're going to know, not just in your downloads. Instead of like exploring my computer in this video, you just double click the ABR file and it installs. Doesn't look like anything happens, but now if I go into my brushes, I should have in a whole separate folder these spray paint effects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a new layer. Command-Shift-N, or layer, new layer. And I'm going to put this underneath. Use my eyedropper tool, or eye on the keyboard. And I'm going to select the color of his shirt, just because I wanted to keep a consistent color scheme, kind of like that, kind of like the video of the athlete where his shirt was red and the brush strokes were red. So I grab one of my brushes now, and ooh, I don't think I like that one. Let's go ahead and see these brushes from a different view. I've got, let's see here. This is going to work for my effect. Maybe I might need to find some other kinds of brushes. Let's increase the brush size using the brackets on the keyboard. And with the different kinds of brushes that I grabbed, I can go through. If you don't see this panel, window brush, or window brushes, I can rotate these around and play with them and kind of make different effects, keeping in mind that I'm on a different layer that's underneath Kanye right now. So I'm going to go through and just kind of like spray those around. Another brush set that I found was, I think, these Watercolor Splatters, which was the one that I used earlier. For these, I'm going to go ahead and click on them. Oh, I guess they're dried blood splatters, my bad. Increase the size and just create some varied effects. And so you see, since it's on a layer underneath him, I am creating a relationship between the figure and the ground. But the next part, if we make another new layer, another way to do that's clicking this button down here, put it up to the top above Kanye. Now, anything that I brush on, if I grab another kind, or another brush stroke, let's do like something like that. Again, I'm using the brackets on the keyboard, the left and the right bracket, to increase the size really quickly. Now, since it's on top of them, if I just cover them up a little bit, we see a little bit of overlap, and that kind of creates a sense of depth that Kanye, the subject, is in front of something and behind something. So that is the basics of the effect. I think another cool part that I had going on earlier was the text, so I can show that really quickly. The text, I just use the text tool, type something out really quickly, so Kanye, Command-Enter to confirm it, Command-T to scale it up. What I did is I took the text, and I made it the color of the background layer by just grabbing the color tool, clicking over here, Command-Enter to confirm text. And now I can't see it, but if I go on one of these layers and put some brush strokes behind the text, I use B on the keyboard to select my brush tool. I use a lot of hotkeys. Now I can start to see that text, and I can move this and layer it accordingly. So maybe I want to create some more brush strokes behind. Move my top layer on top of the text now, and I can get some more of that overlap. So that is the basics of the effect. Again, high resolution images are important. Recoloring your background is important just to keep a consistent color scheme, and then just making sure that you're layering accordingly. Thanks for watching.